So I was just on the phone to Lisa, by the way. She said that and just wrong her and being like, oh, how am I going to know who they are? Like, how am I going to recognise them by sight? And Lisa just went, oh, well, you'll know because they'll look massively out of place. We're the only three people in there who look out of place.
Well, she's not wrong, is she? To be fair, she is not wrong. We've chatted to him on the phone quite a few times now, and it's been like a nice, easy rapport. Do you know what I mean? But then it's different when you meet him face to face. There is also sort of like the element of like feeling like I know what he looks like in my head as well. It's a bit like going on a first date, to be honest. It's like we've been chatting on Hinge.
You're listening to Season 2 of Legacy, The English Disease, a podcast from Stak. I'm Sam Diss, and this is Episode 2, The Englishman.
On behalf of East Midlands Railway, we'd like to thank you for travelling with us today. Nottingham is our final destination. All change, please.
I'm in Nottingham to find answers to a question I don't even know could be answered, which immediately, if I'm honest, has me on the back foot. Do you remember Lisa from the last episode?
I have got a doctor, so I am Dr. Lisa Mackenzie.
Working class academic, lecturer, serial author, a learned gobshite, my favourite kind. A self-taught theorist who, once she became a mum, quit her job to study for real. When I started this series, she was just what I was after. Someone who could put a little meat on the bones of this story, some scholarly rigour, and she did that all right. What's refreshing is academics can sometimes be a bit gun-shy in interviews, not wanting to say the wrong thing. Lisa was never like that. She just spoke from the heart. It was her experience, her hard-lived, hard-fought experience. Who was anyone else to tell her feelings, her thoughts, her theories were wrong? For her, football violence was inherently political, and that's why the establishment fucking hated it. And then she just hit me with this.
My ex-husband was a football hooligan. I had no problem with that at all. You know, why would I?
She dangled a carrot she knew I couldn't resist. Side note, I am actually allergic to carrots, which sounds like a weird lie, but even more weirdly is actually true. Anyway, carrot gobbled, we were on the East Midlands Railway to Robin Hood country to meet Lisa and her ex-husband. Lucky for us, like Lisa, he wasn't gun-shy either.
Listen, mate, I loved it. It was just so exciting. It was better than sex.
Tell me about...
It was so exciting. It made you feel alive. It made me feel alive. And that's the most I've ever felt alive was doing that. It's like primeval.
How so?
Because it's like them against... It's like war. I suppose it's like... Goes back to the... You know what I mean? Caveman days. Now, all the guys what are tough. They're just fucking on building sites. They don't mean anything, mate. Women want fucking guys with big fat wallets and fast cars and... You know what I mean? It's changed.
Do you think they don't know what they're missing?
Yeah, I mean, people like Bill Gates and that would fucking die back in the day because someone just smashed his head in with a rock. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm sorry, that was just a very funny image of poor Bill Gates just turning up to, you know, the wrong pub in Nottingham.
Yeah, exactly. He'd get fucking... nothing would happen to him because he wouldn't dare go in there. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't go in.
So it's a cold enough, grim enough morning, and I'm making my way to a miner's welfare on the outskirts of town to meet Lisa, this time in person.
I don't know, I don't like calling it hooliganism.
So it's interesting because uses the word. It wasn't so much a badge of honour, but like when he got called a hooligan in the paper when he was younger.
Oh, he loved it.
He just cut it out and he was just like, I have that on my wall. So what does the word hooligan mean to you then?
Mindless violence, isn't it? It's mindless. And that's why I'm not sure it was hooliganism, because it wasn't mindless. None of it was mindless. It was all thought through. It was thought through. It was planned. It was arranged. Having a theory behind what you're doing, and the theory is, this is us. We are this. This is what this means.
We're Forest.
Yeah.
Chelsea.
This is what they represent. This. We represent this. That's a theory.
The couplet of working class and mindless thug is far older than the word hooligan. It's steeped in a fucking ancient classism that's always sought to keep a social order that's still incredibly hard to break out of. It's easier to keep people beneath you if you convince yourself that's where they belong.
They think working class people are mindless. They know that there's no sense or reason or rhyme or theory or idea behind any of it. They just fucking do it. You know, they working class people are still seen as probably more animalistic, more emotional, more connected to their bodies.
It's all become a way for society to manage the anxiety of living in an uncertain world, creating a binary between us, the civilized, and them, the other. To try and preserve this trembling thread of consistency, it really hopes people will mistake for security.
If you sat in any pub with any group of lads talking about football, now or in the 1970s, 80s, there is thought process, critique, theory, and ideology of the past coming in. All of that things are happening. That's not mindless. But obviously, who would know that unless you're in it?
I've said before, but I was never part of violence at a match. But I knew what it was like to be overlooked because of your class, your accent, or where you were from. For a long time, people assumed I was thick, and for a little bit too long, I've got to say that I let them. But Lisa's right. If you've never been part of it, any of it, then you'll never understand what a different kind of intelligence looks like. So when Lisa mentioned her ex-husband was an ex-Forest hooligan, we rang him pretty much straight away. We met in the pub in the town centre. It was a Monday, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was rammed. It was Motown night, despite the fact it was still light outside. I won't say its name, the pub, because I don't want to alert the Aggie barmaid who kicked off about needing written permission from the brewery to have a conversation in there. But let's just say it's the sort of place where if you don't act like a cunt, nobody will treat you like a cunt. But a bloke with one leg and no teeth will come and interrupt your interview to start winding up your producer about looking like Ed Sheeran. But anyway, I asked if he remembered the first time he was called a hooligan.
It didn't like water from duck's back.
Did it feel like a slur? Did it feel like a bad word, or were you just like, nah?
No, but I think when I first heard it was from the media, not from someone personally. Because I used to do the things I was talking about, and they go, hooligan. I was going, I'm a fucking hooligan.
And so, sorry, I can't keep calling him, can I? So let's call him...
Say Charlie.
Charlie? Why Charlie?
Sounds like a bit of a, all right, Charlie? Sounds like a bit of a geezer, doesn't it?
Sure, why not?
You ever done anything like this before?
No, not that I can remember anyway. not for like being in a cop shop, but other than that, no.
When I first meet, oh, fuck's sake, sorry, Charlie, he doesn't look like much. Not in a bad way, but he looks normal, whatever that means. I wasn't expecting some 6'5" cage fighter, but he's shorter than me and pretty slight actually, in a flat cap not quite filling out his Fred Perry polo. But I liked him straight away and can't help but get swept up in his energy. When he's talking about hooliganism, and even 20 years or so removed from it, he is always talking about it. He's giddy when he gets going, his adrenaline all the way up, his energy infectious. And before long, his whole worldview is offered up on a plate.
It was fucking great. No, when you're with certain people, you all think the same. That's your world, you know what I mean? Everybody else is weird. They look at you as weird, but no, you're not weird. They're weird, you know what I mean? I go to the match, I go out, I'll fucking do a few lines of coke, get pissed, I go out and have a scrap. All my mates was on the same wave level, so that was just normal to me. Anyone else looking inside that, you're weird. You go to fucking work and fucking watch EastEnders or watch some crap and get your leg over once a fucking week, you know what I mean? I'm living life. I'm excited, you know what I mean? I'm going out. I'm fucking boozing them. And it does make you feel alive. It's kind of primeval as a male.
Chatting to Charlie makes me think about how the way we grow up can make people hear the same thing and yet take something totally different from it. What always fascinates me is how people get started in this world. How there's always this sliding doors moment.
Well, I went because there used to be a guy at our school, his brother used to be a prolific football hooligan. And he used to go, oh mate, it's great, you get a buzz, this, that and the other. So he goes, oh, come down one night. So I was like, no, mum would kill me. You know what I mean? But he went, come on, man. So I went, fucking loved it. the atmosphere, the shouting, singing. I never experienced anything like it, you know what I mean? I loved it. This was before the violence though. I just loved the singing and the chanting and the atmosphere. Yeah, and the energy and the noise and the crowd. Loved it.
I didn't grow up like Charlie. I've never lived anything like his life. When I'd go to a game, I'd feel the energy and the noise and the crowd, and I loved it too. It felt like the most important thing in the world. Only that energy never turned into what it became for Charlie. It never shifted into something darker.
If they didn't get a scrap at the match, we'd go out Saturday night and someone would get it, you know what I mean? Violence was always bubbling under the surface. Even with each other. They said the wrong thing to somebody, they didn't like it. A bit of scrap. Violence was always there.
We are the sum of the people around us, what drives and influences them. Had those lads I went to West Ham with been different, what would I have done differently? I felt the rush at the game in the stands, caught in the collective effervescence of a crowd during a win, our hearts soaring, screaming for murder when we were losing. Totally fine with the totally normal pendulum of those extreme emotions. But the rush of violence before, during or after a game clearly amplified that feeling. That was something that couldn't be touched.
We used to fight all the time, mate. For fucking stupid reasons. But when you go down the match, I never used to look at it as stupid reasons because I knew that they wanted to fight me. So it was a common ground, you know what I mean? They knew and we knew that they wanted to fight us, we wanted to fight them. No one else, the normal public, or whatever, not involved. They knew who we were, we know who they were. We was gonna have a fight on that day. If we try everything to get to each other, we'd fucking get up early in the morning, find different routes, dodge the coppers, go this way, go that way, all to meet up to have a scrap.
When I spoke with Lisa, she said this everyday ritual of violence was a reality she knew all too well.
Physical violence was an everyday occurrence. It was an everyday, you know, whether it was your mum hitting you with a shoe, or whether it was kids scrapping on the streets, or whether it was men fighting, you know, on a football pitch, or whether it was women fighting in a pub. The violence was there's no point denying it as working class people that there is violence everywhere. You know, I hear people say to me, you shouldn't be saying that, it's not true. And I was like, no, it is true, and I should be saying it, actually, because there's some things that's not very nice that we have to say.
People don't want to look at it.
No, and people don't want me to say it either.
We were in this miners' welfare in Bestwood Village, not far from where Lisa grew up, about half hour outside the city. This place was once the heart of the community. It's now what's known as a warm hub, where those who can't afford heating can go to warm up and eat leftover food delivered by the local co-op.
Well, we've got them all over the counter because there is a need. And you know, people do come in here. It's mostly the elderly. It's sometimes kids.
This is the long tale after a slide that's been happening since the 1970s and 80s. Football hooliganism's heyday and a time of social turmoil. The end of the Second World War was just a few decades before, and unemployment and austerity were rife under Thatcher's government, which introduced a harrowing neologism to our vocabulary: redundancy. For millions of men in the post-industrial landscape that followed, mines shut, factories shut, communities decimated, football was a release. They weren't redundant there. And that's why, according to Lisa, Charlie was there too.
That's what unemployment does. Unemployment ravages you. You know, you're useless, you're no good, nobody can employ you. You know, it ravages people.
Hooliganism becomes less about the acts of violence themselves than the performance of identity at a time when everything else was trying to strip it away. It became ceremonial, the singing and chest beating, the posturing and territoriality. It created a valuable image of power nobody could take away from them.
Having something that you're good at, even if it is just fighting, it brings your confidence back. It gives you some sort of respect, gives you a standing.
This story isn't just about Nottingham. There are places like this across the country, gutted post-industrial towns, corners of cities, your city, where institutions have gone, replaced by a gentrification they're told they should be grateful for. But it's Nottingham where I find myself, Motown blaring, as the sun finally begins to set, 3, maybe 4 pints deep. And Charlie tells me about what he calls the best time of his life.
I wouldn't change a thing. Some things I'd change, but like I said, it was some of the best times of my life. Not just the violence, the camaraderie.
Charlie was born in a council estate. It was, in his words, horrible. Every time he turned on a light, he said, you'd get an electric shock. Rats ran all over the beds. One outside toilet between God knows how many. Charlie didn't spare the details when I spoke to him on the phone for the first time.
Me and my siblings, like 2 brothers, 2 sisters, so it's 5 of us all together, lived in these resident houses, back to back, fucking toilet outside. I used to get my brother to go outside and warm the toilet up because he was the youngest. Every time I wanted to go to the toilet, I used to say, right, get in that toilet and sit on it for about 10 minutes. But yeah, they were horrible houses, mate. Horrible. Rats everywhere, it's falling down.
When Charlie was 10, they moved up the road to somewhere new, a place called St Anne's.
Oh, mate, we thought we was living in a palace. And we thought we was living in a palace, man. Brand new house, no one in there.
No rats?
No, well, yeah, the rats came later, but there was different kind of rats.
He was one of 5 children. Both his parents were Jamaican immigrants to the city. And he speaks of them, his brothers and sisters, his childhood fondly. But while they'd go on to embrace black culture, he would take a different path.
You know, mainly I would knock about white guys. I don't know why. So in my phone, they call me the Englishman. They all say, oh, here he is, Englishman. Do you know what I mean? Because of my ways and the way I talk, and, you know, I'm not like them.
By going to the match instead of to blues nights and shebeens, unlicensed parties in houses and basements that became cornerstones of black British music culture, Charlie was, to his family, unmistakably English.
But yeah, I'm still looked at the English, because I had white friends, I was more like, you know, I was white culture, boozing, football match, so I was looked at as Englishman, you know what I mean? And I'm, you know, there's other black guys like me, there's not many, but there's a few. And I look at it as just being a normal guy, not a black or white thing, do you know what I mean? That's just the way I was.
People called him a coconut, black on the outside, white on the inside.
Yeah. Let's laugh it off.
That's interesting, you laugh it off though. Did it ever get to you a little bit? Were you just like...
Never. Fuck off. I'm enjoying myself, you know what I mean? I'm alright. You know what I mean? You do you, I'll fucking do me. Yeah, you do fucking you, if that's what you think. I mean, how's that going to impact my life? Did it impact me one bit?
Charlie may have not seen going to the match as an English thing, or even a white or black thing, just a normal bloke thing. But other hooligans never let him forget that race still mattered.
Growing up in the 70s and 80s, obviously, like, especially at the football, I know you mentioned Chelsea, obviously West Ham had an issue with like far right stuff. Loads of clubs did. How big an issue was like,
Forest.
A race at Forest, but at the match?
Well, there weren't many black guys used to go back in them days. There's a handful, you could count them on one hand, you know what I mean? So you'd go and you'd be straight away you'd be targeted. I'm gonna fucking kill you, you black cunt. I remember going to Tottenham, as soon as I walked in, Farrell Simpson, boom, you fucking manky. Fuck off. But you get used to it, you know what I mean? You get used to it. So, but when I look back on it, you're fucking crazy, man. You could have got killed.
When you'd occasionally sort of like meet another firm and they'd have like another black guy, would you just sort of be like, I'm not going to hit you, I'll let the other one.
Yeah.
You're all right.
Look at each other and go. Yeah. And white boys, yeah. You're right, man. Yeah, you just miss each other out, you know what I mean?
I love that image. 2 black lads in the thick of it, giving each other the wink like, you're good, mate. I'm going to hit that cunt instead. You crack on. Be safe. But against this backdrop, how Charlie and Lisa met intrigued me. He was a black man, a second-generation immigrant, and she was a white woman from a mining family. They were worlds apart, but bonded by bravado, bonded ironically by their individualism. there, you do you, I fucking do me.
What do you remember about how you met?
I met him. I was in a pub. I can't remember which pub it's called now.
Is it in town?
Yeah, just met him in a pub. This night out I'd had in Nottingham was probably, I think it's the first time I'd ever been out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Orchards, that was it. Orchards, it was like a bar underneath, because my mate, who I went with, because I used to usually go out in Mansfield, which was like the other way. My mate used to come to Nottingham. I used to work with her in the factory, and she used to always go out with black guys. So she brought me to Nottingham and took me to the pub where there was all black guys. So that's how I met him.
And here's Charlie's side of the story.
I met her on a night out.
What, right here?
Yeah, right there. Yeah, she's from Mansfield. She had a dress on and it kept falling off her shoulder and I could see a bit of a boob. I thought, this is years ago, I thought, yeah, I'm in there. All right, darling. All right, fucking doughboy off. Fucking, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just clicks.
Young love, eh? But far from off-putting, the testosterone that made Charlie feel like Del Boy on a night out and top boy at the match was clearly something Lisa found appealing.
You said you found some of the fighting quite sexy.
Who, me? Yeah. Well, yeah, but I brought up in this community where my sister cousin said to me the other day, she was like, you need to stop doing this, it's not right. I was like, what? Thinking that some men are weak? And I'm like, I can't, because I come from a community where the best men were the strongest and most aggressive.
I met Charlie and Lisa on different days, but the stories they tell me, it always feels like they're still in conversation with each other. They've been divorced for a long time now, but maybe the way you grow up creates this bond you can never shake. She understands him, and clearly, in his own way, he understands her too. Charlie says it's his testosterone that led him to so many of the positions he found himself in. The start of his love story with Lisa, and the first throes of aggro at the football. So is the decision to engage in hooliganism and exercise a free will, or a constrained choice, shaped by what Bill Buford called imperatives of our chromosomes, accelerated by the symbolic violence that dictates what it means to be a working class man? That can't help but be intoxicating. The performance of violence becomes inextricable from identity. You see it enough and you think, yeah, maybe that's who I am. Maybe that's who we all are.
Now this is incredible. I want to do some work on this. So look at these dates.
No.
1940.
Yeah, look, what's that, 1916?
16, yeah.
We're standing about 50 yards from an old mine near Lisa's house, not far from the warm hub. We're looking at the outside brick wall of a smoke-stained gaff, where each brick has a name carved into its surface. I read the dates. 1967, 1951, 1938, 1902.
So this is people are leaving their mark. And you think about it, in these times, this might be the only thing that got left of them. And it's all over. So, and if you go in, if you go in the graveyard, you'll see these people there. They never left.
The cemetery just down the street, bearing the same names as these bricks.
They never left.
Is that fucking, 100 odd years ago?
Yeah, I know. It's all over. I don't know why people would do it. Well, they just wanted to leave their mark.
Lisa drives us back to the station on her way to the gym. That rough gym, she called it. The one filled with ex-forest lads. I can't help but think, as I look out the window at the rain and the uni accommodation devouring the town centre, how violence flows from generation to generation to generation. Charlie's dad giving him a whack at home. Charlie taking that feeling to the match with him. And how, eventually, he'd teach it to his son too. We've bleeped out their son's name as he asked to not be part of the show.
He used to teach to headbutt.
You did butt his hand?
Yeah. Did he tell you that?
I think you told us
Oh, I did. Did you? Yeah. used to do that to him. You've got a massive head. You'll be really good at headbutting.
And what you did at that point, you just look at him and just be like, fuck.
I didn't care. I mean, it didn't. None of it was that unusual. This is only years later, as a sociologist and somebody who's been able to sort of sit back and reflect, that none of this was very unusual.
I don't know if it was usual, but I related to it. I remember my granddad, my mum's dad, a former docker turned publican, holding out his hand for me, a toddler, shirtless and watching gladiators, to practice my punching. This one's for the hospital, he'd say, taking my tiny, weaker left fist in his enormous fingers. And this one, he'd say, grabbing my more dominant right, this one's for the undertaker. It wasn't quite practice your headbutting with me, but I felt a degree of familiarity. My granddad was a hard man, growing up in post-war East London, but he was a fair one and people loved him for it. He treated everyone with respect until they stepped over the line. I adored him, and he never wanted me to fight, would never encourage it. I guess he just wanted me to know that if I needed to, I could. These days, these kinds of masculine ideas aren't ideal, and maybe for many, they never were. But you can see how, to a certain people from a certain place and a certain time, violence takes on a different context. Violence becomes a performance through which men like Charlie, or my granddad, can resist marginalisation and assert their identity in a world that so often devalues their experience.
That is, we are forced in violence, so we are fucking... It's one of our communications, how we communicate, through violence. Anyone takes a piss out of you, you fucking smack him. You got an argument with a geezer, outside. That's how we are born, that's how we are bred. What the fuck do you think was going to happen to us? Look at middle class guys, they're born in where richness and wealth and money and mixing, they turn out that way. But we're not. We're born in different fires. We answer to a different fucking God. And that God has got a broken nose and a fucking black eye.
But as the world moves, people change. Cities change, ideas and ideals change. What once seemed solid and reliable now shifts and dissolves, leaving behind a landscape where old ways of being no longer fit, which inevitably brings us back to the pub.
White working class people like these, they used to have pubs. That was their church. They used to go to that community, they had a pub to go to.
Do you feel like football was that for a lot of men?
Yeah, what else are they going to have? I'm not saying they had shit lives, but everyone needs a life, mate. I mean, look, it's a Monday, all these people are out. It's like these probably do this. They'll be there tomorrow and the day after. Fucking, it's sad. It's sad, mate.
The rules that once guided generations, what it means to be a man, to belong, to matter, are now constantly rewritten. And at a time when old markers of identity and strength start to feel out of place, new expectations rush in to fill the void.
It's that rush. You never get a rush like that. I've never got a rush like that, ever. I think it's on that, because it's dangerous, and all your senses are going, fight, flight, fight, or whatever the fuck it is. So it's the only time I've ever felt alive. The fear of danger, and being with your mates and thinking, shit, am I going to make it? You know what I mean? Am I going to get out of this? What the fuck am I going to do?
Charlie's a middle-aged man now. He's moved on from football violence. He's seen enough people go to jail, enough people get hurt. Now he lives what most would consider a life on the straight and narrow. But as I sit with him, there's still this little glint in his eye. And you can see that he just can't help himself. He might not fight anymore, but he's still that same man.
You ever just walking down the high street and you just see some lads that you knew from the match?
Yeah. Loads of them, mate. Loads of them, all the time. I saw that, there's one now, there's a Bible basher. You know, stand outside, Jesus is coming. And I saw him and walked past him and went, see that man over there? He's a sinner. I know him. We used to sin together. I said, fuck off.
And he knows that he is the sum of his experiences, the people he's met. And without all those choices, some good and some very, very bad, he wouldn't be the man he is today.
Does part of you regret not like being like one of like, the top boys where people be like,
I used to. Yeah, I used to, but I don't now. Because
why?
you change, don't you, when you get older? You know what I mean? You know that you can be. There's other things that can fulfill you, you know what I mean, other than that. That's a part of me, yeah, and I'm glad I did it. I'll never fucking regret it, you know what I mean? Ever. I'll always say, yeah, I did that. And I loved it, and I'm glad of it. I had a really great time. I'll never, ever, ever say I regret doing that. Because I fucking loved it. Some of the camaraderie and the fun and the excitement and the adrenaline what I got from that was amazing. And it would never top it.
Next time on The English Disease, a reality check. When did he ring you?
So I was actually on a lunchtime walk and I seen this number, what? And then it just clicked and I answered and it was, yeah, exactly like, you know, in the movies, automated voice saying this call is coming from this prison. It will be recorded for security purposes, and do you accept? And I accepted.
The English Disease is a Stak production. It was written and hosted by me, Sam Diss. Produced by Nikki Anderson and Finn Ranson. Sound designed by Tom Wally. And with original theme music by my mate, Connor Schofield. Executive production by Luke Moore, John T, and Charlie Morgan.
Legacy is a Stak production and part of the Acast Creation Network.